So mute your computer or whatever you need to do for the
Oh, I already did. This time around.
for the ad.
Or there was something that was already up that
Gotcha.
I can mute, so I should be in good shape as far as that goes.
All right. So apparently it's Down Syndrome Day. And you're supposed to wear crazy socks for Down Syndrome Day. I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
Yeah.
Learn something new every Down Syndrome Day.
I'm telling you, dude. So I have a cousin that was Downs. Oh, my phone's ringing. Hang on a second.
Okay. This is me being entertaining while Chris is talking on the phone. He will not know what I have said about him until such point as he is either off the phone and or watching the actual video of this podcast. If you are watching / listening right now, we love you all, but I love you more than Chris does. I'm just saying that because he's on the phone. I don't really know how much he loves you, but I'm having fun monologuing and wasting lots of time while pretending to type, which I'm really not, even though I'm supposed to be, because I know you guys want to know all the information about all the songs that I'm going to be playing for you in this week's episode. So we will have them for you in the show notes, and it will be fantastic. Okay, that was good. So now I really am typing. But I am kind of bored though because I can't really talk to you guys, and I don't have the chat up. So I'm sure you guys are saying all sorts of fun stuff to me, but I totally don't see it. I monologued while you were gone.
All right.
Yeah, you totally didn't hear me, did you?
Did hear you what?
I said I was monologuing while you were gone.
Oh, is that right? No, I was in the other room. How would I have heard you?
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually asking if you had heard what I said just before then, because I said the same thing a second before, but I couldn't see whether or not you had sat down and put on your headphones yet. All I did was hear you a little bit. So.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, whatever. Was my my wife's grandmother.
Oh.
Who I just got her to switch over to a Mac.
Oh, nice.
And apparently they lost power for a while out where they live, and that she couldn't figure out how to turn it back on. I think I need to log. I have it set up so I can log in remotely. I think I need to log in remotely and turn on the restart after power failure. That way they don't have to worry about it.
There you go.
Take control of your broadcast and remove ads from your broadcast and more. Absolutely. I use Ustream's Pro Broadcasting that only costs anywhere from $99 a year to $999 per year. It's a deal.
If you are making lots of money.
Yeah, exactly. So there's this new service out there called Patreon. Okay. And what you do is you list your podcast on Patreon, and you get your subscribers to go there and sign up for a Patreon account. And then what happens is they determine kind of what they think your show is worth. So they can donate money, but they can also set up, so it's like it's based off of a month. So they can donate, say, $1 per show.
Okay.
But then they can limit it to a max of $2.
Oh, okay.
So technically they donate $1 for 2 shows, or $2 for 2 shows.
Right.
And then so they can set that up, but it's a way that a lot of podcasters are moving over towards the ability to make money, as opposed to putting, say, like a donations thing on the website or whatever. Now,
going after ads,
right, and not having to go after advertising and that kind of stuff. So it allows for ad-free, listener-supported podcasting. So I think it's a really cool idea, but it's really meant for established podcasters that have a that have like this really broad audience that could afford to do that. I mean, at our rate right now, we'd probably end up with like $3 a month or something.
right?
Which is still better than none, but I wouldn't
Right.
want to be disappointed sitting there looking.
Like, wow, that's what we're worth. Oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly. We're only worth $3 a month. So it may be something we investigate if we continue to grow. It takes so long to build an audience, and it's so hard to know how to network yourself around enough, how to get it out there that it's available, and get people to subscribe and all of that good stuff.
Right.
I mean, for some reason, last week, and I don't know if it's due to spring break or what, but last week's episode, when I checked the other day, only had like 20-some downloads.
Huh.
Oh, thanks,
I don't-
Kirk. Kirk says I'd give a buck.
Oh, well, that's sweet.
Thanks, Kirk.
You're awesome.
I appreciate that.
I so wish I would have typed it out like this to begin with. That's half of what it was taking me so long to get on the stream, is because I was editing and then I was writing down all the information. I mean, it'll still be nice to have it written down, but doing this all twice kind of stinks.
Yeah, I hear ya. The Rock in a Hard Place podcast.
Did you know that all the voices on that are me?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I figured you might, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So I've found a way to do a new robotic style voice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, using some cool tools that I have within what you call it. I have a vocoder built into my Logic software.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And so let me see if I can grab. I was playing around with it, trying to create something for a buddy of mine, and
Oh, yeah. You played that to me.
Did
That's
I?
what I thought. Yeah. It was cool. I liked it. It sounds better than some of the stuff I've done. Did I tell you the formula that I found that was supposed? It's how supposedly you can make yourself sound very much like Transformer or Optimus Prime or something.
no,
You record whatever you want to record. You make it into 3 exact copies. You leave one alone. You take one and you lower the pitch, and then you make it most of the way to the left side. And you
Okay.
take the other one, you raise the pitch and make it all, most of the way to the right side.
Okay.
And then if you want to put like a chorus or something on it, and then you just have them overlap. Like exactly.
gotcha.
It works out pretty well. Some of the stuff that I do for like the promos are done that way.
Well, here, I'll share this with the people listening in the chat room. This is the intro that I created for this little session thing.
Activate Live with Jesse Bradley.
I was not searching for God, but I did sign up to take an introduction to world religions class in college. And when my professor started to teach the Bible, it was very clear that he was critical, he was attacking the text. Now, he assigned the Gospel of John, and when I read the Gospel of John, it was truth, it was power. I really felt like God was speaking to me. I started to understand that
I like the
God loved
Cylon
me, I could
voice
have a
I get at the
relationship
end of
with
this.
him, and
It sounded
Jesus
really
died
cool
on the
to me.
cross for my sins. Now, again, the whole time the professor was critical of the text, but the Bible says that God's word is living and active, and it penetrated my heart. It was different from any other book I had ever read, and I decided to put my trust in Jesus and follow him. Read the Bible, give it to someone who's never read it before.
For more information, go to activatelife.org.
So that ending robotic voice there was the one thing I was most proud of, actually.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun to play with. But he didn't like the robotic voice.
Yeah.
It sounds robotic.
Yeah. Well, he's like, I think I want it to sound more natural. I'm like, natural is boring. Natural is boring. Let me see here. Nice. I use the speech to text on my Mac. There's like 20 voices, robots, aliens, and one is the genuine Siri. Ah, okay. Gotcha. That's good to know.
Oh, they have Siri on there now. I didn't realize that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Although I guess my wife's Mac is new enough. We have an older Mac desktop that probably doesn't have it.
Yeah, her MacBook would probably do it.
Yeah.
Okay, if I hit close on an ad, then you would think that would make it stop popping up. But apparently not. So you guys are boring? What do you mean we're oh. No, Kirk, that was a comment that was given to me by someone, that the guy that I was producing that spot for, he didn't want the robot voices. He wanted normal voice. And when you're doing normal voice in production, it can sound boring just because it's your normal voice. It's not
It's not special.
yeah, it's not special. So all right, well, I guess I just have to let this ad run its course because it keeps popping up over and over again. Okay.
All right.
Let
I
me
just
see.
sent you all the info.
Did you? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just
So are we about ready to go?
as far as I'm concerned, whenever you're ready, man.
Are you ready? Are you ready to rumble? Okay.
Or something.
Yeah. We can't actually say that phrase because it's copyrighted.
I know.
Let's get ready to stumble.
Over our words and not say copyrighted phrases.
That's right. This match is scheduled for one fall. I used to.
Or here we go. Today we're going to talk about praise and worship music. Oh, let's get ready to grumble.
There you go. I like that. I always used to, when I heard the announcer go, "This match is scheduled for one fall," I used to think, you mean they're going to replay this later? I didn't get that meant, one time down, tap out, whatever the case may be. Yeah. It was much later in life that I realized that. So, okay, you got your DAW up?
I do, and I'm ready to go.
All right.
All righty then.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to burp.
Well, just never mind.
Man. Too much coffee this morning.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go ahead and hit record in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rock in a Hard Place podcast. My name is Chris Cooner. I am a DJ with Broken FM. You can be sure to check us out online and download our free app at broken.fm. Well, you can't download the app there, but you can check us out online, and you can grab a link to download the app. It's free, and it's in like 4 different places. You can get it for your Roku. You can get it for your iPad, iPod, iPhone. You can get it for your Android device, and you can get it for the Kindle Fire. So loads of great ways to make it. Okay. Joining me today, that giggling like a little girl you heard in the background there, that is my good friend, Paul Gibson.
Thank you for that sterling intro. I like it a lot. And yes, I'm Paul Gibson. I host the Christian Rock 20 Countdown and get to co-host this fun podcast each and every week. And if you want to know more about the Christian Rock 20, you can check out thechristianrock20.com or just christianrock20.com. And if your local station in your area doesn't play it, well, then call them up and ask them why not.
Yeah.
And if they give you a good reason, ignore them and tell them to play it anyway.
I like that. That's very nice. Yeah. If they tell you why, then tell them that they're stupid and they need to do it anyway.
That's right. That's right. Do not take no for an answer. You know,
Yeah.
Just don't do it, because that endears radio people whenever you hassle.
Yeah, exactly. It's radio, squeaky wheel doesn't always work well in radio. That usually is a bad thing. That's one of those things that people go, yeah, the more you talk to me, the less I'm likely to play your stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, let's see here. News. In some, I don't know. This doesn't. It does kind of affect rock music in a little bit of a way. Last week we talked about protesting and all of that stuff. These guys standing outside of protesting a Switchfoot concert, and I guess you could call them the king of protesters. Fred Phelps from Westboro Baptist Church passed away just the other day. It's been interesting. It's been a very polarizing thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, because there are people out there that are like, well, we should protest his funeral. And it's funny because the family actually asked that his funeral not be protested. And I'm thinking, how does that work? So it's okay for you to do this to someone else, but it's not okay for someone else to do this to you.
No. But it's okay for them to say it because they're right. They know they're right. So when you're right, you can force whatever you believe on anybody else. That's the way Christianity works. As long as you're right, you can force it on everybody, and they can't say anything about it because you're right.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems so strange to me that that it's okay for them to protest, fallen soldiers and all that kind of stuff funeral, but it's not okay for their funeral, for his funeral to be protested.
Yeah, heaven forbid.
I've never understood that double standard. I was always taught, well, this will date me a little bit, but what's good for the goose is good for the gander, kind of thing.
Right.
I think that we should be above them on this.
Yeah.
And I feel that if you do decide to go protest at a funeral, that you're sinking to his level. And that's something that I don't feel is an acceptable thing. Just let the guy go. It's done for him. It's over with. Now he's got family that will still, I'm sure, continue to protest different things and soldiers' funerals and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like we should try and rise above and be the example of how Christians should be.
Right.
Does that make
Agreed.
sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Because, let's face it. It's pretty easy to look through Facebook and be able to see the kind of reaction or feel the reaction that you want to give other people. Because I saw so many people who are like, this is sad. It's sad for their family. Don't get me wrong. I don't like their politics. I don't like, what they stand for. I don't like the way they make Christians look. But still, somebody died, and that's sad, and that's not something that we should ever be gleeful in. So, don't be all like dancing on his grave and stuff. And I'm like, you know what, that I can get on board with that. Don't get me wrong. I think it's nice that he won't have that specific voice in, to do, but he's got so many people now who follow him and his kids and all that it's not like it's going to go away. But and at the same time, you have to be compassionate towards those people who you don't agree with, because that's kind of where they went wrong, is because they disagree with, whatever. And so therefore they're going to make other people miserable for their beliefs. And that's not the way that Jesus was. That's not the way the church should be at all.
Well, and that's exactly right. His voice will carry on through the generations of people that he has had follow him and his ideals. So it's not as though the Westboro movement is dead. No. But at the same time, like you, I don't agree with anything that he has done.
Oh, no.
However, he's still a human being, and he is still entitled to do it because of the Constitution of the United States where he lives. So while I do not agree with what he's done, I will defend his right to be able to do it, if that makes sense. Because that's all a part of being in a free country.
Right. Yeah. And I agree. It's one of those things where that's when it's tough. You got to make sure that everyone's getting the same right as you are, whether or not you agree with it or not. Right. It's like, if it's one of those things where people can't if it's something that not everyone can do, then it shouldn't be a right to begin with. But you can't make it a right for you and not a right for somebody else just because you don't like them or you don't agree with them or they don't share the same religion as you do. It's just not fair. That's just not the way. That's not the way this country was set up to be, despite popular belief.
Right.
You know, don't get me started. Don't even get me started.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I do. I agree. I agree. All right. What do we got news-wise, Paulie?
Well, Kirk reminded me of this just now, and I was going to bring it up earlier, but then I didn't see it in our normal news sites, but I saw it on Facebook, so I'll bring this up. So thank you, Kirk, for bringing this up in the chat. Jars of Clay has kicked off a pledge music campaign for a 20th anniversary album. Now it's going to have acoustic recordings of hits that their fans pick. So as I understand it, in a nutshell, is if you pledge and pre-order the album, not only do you get the album as part of it, but you get to have input as to what songs will be on it, which I think is really cool.
Cool.
But I also think it makes me feel really old to think about them having a 20th anniversary, because I'm just going, Jars of Clay hasn't been, oh yeah, they have been around that long. Get me a walker now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's fantastic. Let me see here. What else? So Jars of Clay. I mean, I'm okay with their music. I haven't been like a huge fan. There was a period. Well, let me see. What albums of Jars of Clay have I owned? I think I bought Frail.
Okay.
And
there you go.
I think that was it.
Yeah. You didn't have their self-titled with Flood? Doesn't that kind of make you not?
Oh, well, okay. So that must have been the one that I got.
Yeah, the one that's actually got the jar on the front.
Yeah, I may have not bought Frail then. I may have bought that one instead.
Yeah,
I mean, there were aspects of their music that I enjoyed, but I was never just like a huge fan. It was just a little too soft. I mean, they came and played Rock of Ages, and I think as they were getting ready to take the stage, we were packing up the booth and getting ready to head home.
Right. Well, I will tell you this. I mean, they have diversified a good bit in their old age, and there's some stuff of theirs that I do genuinely like. Now, I will throw in with you in that I don't think they're the first thing that pops into my head where I'm like, I just want to jam in my car.
Right.
But there's some stuff of theirs that I really do genuinely like. Their Good Monsters album was a little bit more rockin' than their other stuff.
Yeah. Dead Man is a great song.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, I can get down with them, but, they're also not, like you said, they're not one of those bands that I just, like, follow, all the time and like, ooh, when are they going to do something else? And speaking of which, though, if you do like Jars of Clay, there's a lot of their stuff you can grab for free off of noisetrade.com.
Cool. I was just noticing Kirk's trying to make us feel old also because he says Skillet's been around for 18 years now.
Yeah, shut up, Kirk. I don't want to hear about it. Of course, it's funny enough to date myself by saying I saw As I Lay Dying perform for about 30 people in a Christian coffee shop. I saw Disciple perform on a flatbed trailer in a parking lot. I saw Skillet perform in the middle of the woods as they were opening for All Star United.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I kind of been there, and it makes me feel old, but I don't want to put a number on it because that's way too real for me, Remembering is bad enough, but putting a number on it, that's just wrong.
Yes.
Sick and wrong.
Yes, very much. I agree. Anything else newsy-wise that we need to be aware of?
Yes. There is a new tour featuring Red as the headliner on their Recalibrated tour, which... Did we ever talk about what that Recalibrated album is? I thought it was going to be a remix album, but it's not. It's actually going to be most of their songs off of their latest album, but they're going to put in the strings and stuff that they didn't use on the album because that was kind of their signature, kind of like Skillet, kind of having that kind of like somewhat orchestral vibe to a bunch of the intros and stuff, and they didn't do it on this album. And apparently a lot of people were like, we missed the strings. We missed what you guys always did. You're doing something different. Oh, terror. So they're basically redoing most of the album to feature the stuff that they chose not to do artistically this time around. And I'm just going, really?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, that's fine. I'm all about people redoing songs, and that's great. But this just feels like such a cave to the fandom that I'm just going, you can't stand to have an album that's slightly different. Because to me, I didn't even notice. Like, I listened to it, I was like, oh, it's a solid rock record. It's not it's not a huge departure. It still sounds very much like Red. There's nothing about this that goes, oh, they're not what they used to be. But apparently, there's a lot of people who not so much feel that way. And really, so they're going to be touring with Disciple and Spoken, and they're going to. I think Benja may be on that.
Yeah, I
too.
saw them on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one other name that I did not recognize is going to be like the opening band group artist, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, that could be a really cool tour, but I can almost guarantee they are not going to get anywhere near either one of us. They put up like the first 4 dates, and it's all like Virginia, Pittsburgh, and I'm just going, really?
No, I saw that. I was all excited for the tour.
Right.
And then apparently they're not coming, at least not yet, are coming anywhere near where exactly that we are going to be. So
don't get me wrong. They will sell tickets where they're going.
Oh, yes.
And they probably wouldn't, at least in Portland, sell that well. But I don't know. One of the biggest Christian shows I've been to was Red and Love and Death and Disciple. So I think they could do okay up here. But, you know, it is a long way to drive to get to play one show, because they would probably only do one Oregon show, and then they'd probably play Seattle, and then they would have to drive to get to the next spot. And I can appreciate that, because I have to drive around this area, and it's ridiculous. But at the same time, I still want to see that tour. That would be fun.
So the last band is Ulsa, A Life Set Apart. Tim and I have had a chance to talk to them a few times. And so, they're a good group of kids. It's funny, they just recently went through a change in their lineup. They had four, I want to say it was like 4 band members. It's 2 brothers, Preston and Jacob. And so they're the 2 that have kind of put the band together. And then they had a female lead singer for a while. And she ended up deciding to go back to school. And they lost their drummer for some reason. I can't remember what the transition was in there, but they ended up needing to bring in a new drummer. And so it's now the 3, I'm holding up 2 fingers. It's now the 3 of them. So it's the 2 brothers and the drummer. And they've kind of moved over to a industrial sound. I don't know. They've never really figured what they should
what they're going to be.
You know, it's kind of like, well, we'll try this. No, that didn't really work. We'll try this. But they've decided instead of trying to like actually make money at it, they're going to be one of those bands that goes around and plays for free, and they'll take a love offering, and whatever they get, they get. Hopefully that'll get them to the next show. So I applaud them in that regard for their willingness to put themselves out there and realize that what they're doing is ministry based. But, I mean, they have a bus. It's like a converted motorhome that Preston is married. So he and his wife have like kind of a master suite in the back. And then the other 2 guys have bunks out in the, in the rest where the rest of the stuff is. So it's...
See, I get situations like that, and I think that's pretty cool. But at the same time, that just seems like that would be so uber awkward.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, it's funny. I thought I played a song with them, and I think I have, but it's been a long time since I've gotten anything from them. It was 2011.
Hey guys, why don't you go get Phoenix. Why don't you guys go get some pizza or something?
Come back in about an hour. Or
Yeah.
Resisted making really bad jokes at that, but anyway, yeah. So I don't know. That's cool though. I'm glad that I mean, if I was married I am married. If I was in a band and was still married, I could see that being a huge help, because it stinks being on the road and leaving your wife behind, which I have to do for my job anyway. But it's the amount of time I'm gone is nothing compared to band.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, your max time gone is like a week, maybe.
Right.
You know, normally it's a day or 2, or like an overnight, or whatever the case may be. I mean, these guys, a lot of them are gone for months.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think of Jeremy Spring is engaged now.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that is going to change his touring schedule.
Right. Well, but then again, I also wonder if when he's doing his solo dates, if he just takes her with him.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because, I mean, that seems like that would be a...
Yeah, I mean, we still don't even really know what's going to happen with a band in Kansas. Nobody's
no
sure
one's really
where
saying. I mean, they're still playing some shows, but yeah, it does kind of feel like they are a little bit more on the DL than they were when they were on Goatee. But then again, I mean, that's kind of what happens. You go independent, And then if you just really just promote the snot out of yourself on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff, I mean, you can still keep a very good presence, but normally it tends to slack off a little bit. And I'm sure that if they do put out another record, they will up that a little bit. But right now, yeah, they seem to be being very subtle at the least.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got?
George Moss heading to Indiegogo to fund his next album, which will be his third. So if you like George Moss, you like his hip-hop stylings. I loved Hands Up. I thought that was a fantastic song. The rest of the record was pretty decent, but that song really did it for me. So if you want more hip-hop out of George Moss, who's also a radio personality. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah, he works for, was it Way FM or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I think so. So anyway, I mean, he's a cool dude, and had him on the show before, and nice guy. But if you want to help him out, that's how you can do that. And in other podcast news, Emery has launched a podcast. I can't talk.
Podcast?
A podcast. Upon Golden Pond. They've launched a podcast called the Bad Christian Podcast. You can grab it on iTunes. And I've not checked it out yet, so I'm not really endorsing it.
Right.
I'm assuming that it's probably good.
Just letting you know that it's available.
Right. So it's out there. You know, Emery is a Christian band. They are a little bit different than most people, hence the reason why they are on their own label, which is called Bad Christian. So, I mean, they're a different group of guys, and they think differently in a lot of ways, which I think is refreshing, but I never know what that's going to translate to. So if you listen to it, listen for your own edification, not because I told you about it.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I mean, I don't think I know of anything else that was major that, you know, I'm going to kick myself for later. we did talk about Firefly doing a Kickstarter, right? I mean,
last week I think we did. Yeah. Tim says a pondcast is where people talk about fishing. Oh, man.
This podcast is very quickly turning into me wanting to smack most of our listeners.
Yeah. Here,
or at least the people in the chat room.
This is for Tim.
There we go. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Appreciate you going there, buddy.
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. He went there so you didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. So that's it for the news that we are aware of at this moment. Of course, if you have any information about any news that you want to let us know about, you can email us at rockinaHardplace.com. That's rock, the letter N, the letter A, hardplacepodcast.com. So be sure that you send us that info. Okay, this is really weird. I'm on the Ustream right now, and it's showing yet another advertisement. I don't remember having this many ads.
It went down for me too. So I don't know what's going on. I just reloaded it, and I'm waiting to see. Yeah, it's just showing black right now. So something's going.
It's Ustream. It's Ustream.
Freaking Ustream.
Yeah, they're trying to monetize. They want you to spend money. That's what they want you to do. So, sorry about that, guys. If you're getting a lot of advertisements on the live stream, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
that's a bummer.
Although I do have all of a sudden urge to join the Army. I can't. Oh no, the Marines. Never mind.
The Marines. Marine
anyway.
Corps. Oh man, that's funny.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Our good buddy Tom actually has a review for us. So let's go ahead and get into that, shall we?
Sounds good.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Rock and a Hard Place. New music. Review. Demon Hunter Extremist.
Around the With Extremist being Demon Hunter's 7th album, it's easy to say there were high expectations. Some of the no-brainers when it comes to a Demon Hunter record are Ryan Clark's screams, sick heavy metal guitar riffs, and double kick drumming, all setting the table for Patrick Judge's blistering guitar solos. Fans of any band look forward to new material and expect a degree of evolution, and the passionate and loyal fans of Demon Hunter are no different. In making their past records, Demon Hunter has shifted gears more than once, but this time, they've popped the clutch and regenerated themselves with a whole feeling, mature release. In Ryan Clark's own words, it's one of the bigger leaps or strides that we've ever taken in terms of attention to detail and technicality. When compared to past albums, Extremist does stand apart from the rest, in a few ways. The title Extremist makes you think you're gonna have your face melted off with screams and guttural guitars from front to back, but nothing could be further from the truth. Now, Extremist isn't soft, but it's definitely not as heavy as some of DH's earlier work. In the March edition of HM Magazine, Justin Mabbey wrote, "Unlike most of the previous Demon Hunter records, the band took a longer time on the recording process, met with Aaron Sprinkle several times, as well as their co-producer and bassist Jeremiah Scott. Now, it doesn't take a detective to be able to see that each track on Extremist was scrutinized with a magnifying glass before releasing it to the masses. Tracks like The Last One Alive, One Last Song, and my personal favorite, Gasoline, all feature tight hooks and more of a rock than metal feel, but yet still belong on a Demon Hunter record. I Will Fail You, Hell Don't Need Me, and In Time are more on the balladry side of things, and all show that classic side of Ryan's singing voice. And don't worry, there's plenty of adrenaline-pumping mayhem for those that need a shot in tracks like Artificial Light, What I'm Not, Cross to Bear, and Beyond Me. Even though Demon Hunter has a large and dedicated fan base, this album will win more fans. I watched it happen after playing it for people that I know would never listen to this band in the past. The final song on the album, The Heart of a Graveyard, will win over those in that camp. Demon Hunter has always produced quality, musically and spiritually, but this is really at another level for Ryan Clark and the crew. The technical metalheads will be pleased, as well as those that just want a good rocking album to play with the windows down. It really is a landmark for the band and has classic album written all over it. I give Extremist by Demon Hunter 5 rocks out of 5. For the Rockin' a Hard Place podcast, I'm Tom Labonte.
Now, I gotta
agree more.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was gonna say. You know, I love that Tom mentioned that it is not one of their hardest albums,
No.
but it's definitely a great album. I mean, it's totally Demon Hunter. It's just not as hard as some of Demon Hunter's past albums.
Right, and it's funny because I would almost even say that it's not so much that it's not heavy, it's just not fast, because their last two records have been very, very breakneck speed. I mean, very much that technical speed thrash metal sound, which is cool, but it's not, to me at least, it doesn't stick as much in my head as some of the ones that have more of a melody to them and ones that maybe are a little bit slower. And I've only got a chance to listen to the album, I think, once all the way through, and I've gotten a chance to revisit parts of it here and there since then. But man, it's sticking with me, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And he's our guest this week on the Christian Rock 20, so you should check that out this weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, he was our guest on Monday for the Broken Record, and he and Andrew Schwab, I'm thinking, are probably the two most cerebral guests that we've had on the Broken Record. Big thinkers. You know, you ask him a question and it's just like, oh yeah, that is right in there. And his answers are, he just expands upon what you think his answer is going to be, and he really pulls a lot out of it. So it was a really, you know, Tim got to do the interview. I kind of sat back because Ryan is one of his Ryan is one of Tim's like bucket list guys to interview.
Yeah. So
I just kind of let Tim run with it. I tried not to interfere too much because, yeah, I mean, you never know when you're going to have another opportunity to interview a guy like that. So it ended up working out well, and I think Tim knocked it out of the park, and Ryan seemed very happy with the interview. So it was very, very good to get an opportunity to do that. Tom Labonte is the host of The Edge on UCB Canada, and you can hear him at ucbcanada.com. That is really hard to say. ucbcanada.com and rockfortherock.net.
There you go. And by the way, just another quick aside thing for Ryan Clark and Demon Hunter fans. A really good interview if you want to check out more. It isn't as current as some of the stuff like that Tim did and then I did for this week's show, but just to get inside his head and to learn more about Demon Hunter and whatnot, check out Pathos.com, and Andrew Schwab does an interview with Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
And it's a great interview. Like, some stuff came out on that I didn't realize before. When Ryan was in Focal Point, they got signed to Tooth and Nail, and he was only 16.
Oh, wow.
So he's been doing music for a long time.
Yeah. Kirk says I may have to check out the new
stuff.
Demon Hunter album. They've always been just past my hard level and scream level. And, you know, Kirk, I would typically agree with you on that. It's really hard for me sometimes to get through a Demon Hunter album because it's right there on that edge. But I don't feel like they pass it on this album. I feel like it's kind of right in there with where my personal tolerance is for that style. I feel like it's a really good album in that regard. So, Kirk, I would seriously suggest you check it out. Go through iTunes and preview the songs and see what you think. But I personally, this is an album that I think I could listen to on a regular basis, and that's unusual for Demon Hunter for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great record, and the songs feel a lot more... I don't want to say it feels like an album of singles, but each song feels like it could work as a single.
Totally.
Whereas the other ones, I mean, all the songs I thought were good, but there were songs that definitely you were going, this one could be a single on Christian rock, this one could be a single on like mainstream metal, you know, but not all of them you would put into that category. And this album is very solidly, the songs don't blend together. It doesn't feel like you're listening to the same song with just slight alterations over and over again. And he said that, you know, they went through great effort to make sure that they were putting in effort to differentiate not only the songs from each other within the album, but from past releases. So I thought that was really cool.
Right. No, I think that I think a lot of people will begin to listen to Demon Hunter, you know, as Tom said in his review. I think they're going to grab some new fans because it's, and I don't want to say it's like the new face of Demon Hunter. I think it's just a maturing of Demon Hunter.
Right. And they didn't even set out to make this album that way. It's just, he said this time around, he just wrote what came, and he didn't sit down thinking, we need to have this many really heavy, fast songs. We need to have a ballad, and then we need to have like 2 mid-tempo songs, and there's your album.
Right.
So just, you know, we just made what songs I wrote as good as we could, and then didn't worry about trying to make a formula for it, which I thought was good.
Well, and that's, you know, Guardian with their album, it's not a really rockin' album. There are a couple of songs on there that do rock, but Guardian's album is not a really heavy album. But when we were talking to Dave Bach the other day, he said, you know, look, it's not a heavy album, but it's not like we did that on purpose. It's just kind of how it came about.
Right.
So, you know.
And that's a really good album, too. So.
It is. It is. Yeah, very much
sure.
so. Well, let's see. Should we actually dive into our topic for today?
I don't know why not, unless you just want to break it up more and do like either the stew or the noise trade thing first, but I'm okay with whatever you want to do.
Let's hold off on the stew till the end. I don't want to look like a fool until we're almost done.
Okay.
I like to have that be the last impression people have of me, not the first impression. So, you know.
But if it's the first impression, then people have time to get over it.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but we're not going to do it that way. It's my show, doggone it.
Fair enough. Okay, so
today, we are going to talk about cover songs. Now, we've done a covers. We did a covers episode. It was episode 20. So if you have not listened to that episode, shame on you for not diving into the archives and grabbing hold of it and listening. We let's see. Hey, Chris, people not in the chat have no clue we've been talking about Guardian. No, you're absolutely right. They don't know that, and that's why I would encourage anyone to come and listen to the live stream, and be in the chat, because there's a lot of great conversations going on in the chat. So
that's right.
You know, so make it happen. So anyhow, back to cover songs. Thanks for distracting me, Kurt. Really appreciate that. So cover songs we did, like I said, on episode 20. You can go back and grab it. It is still available, and you can take a listen to it. We didn't play a lot of covers. We talked more about what a cover song is and kind of our opinion on what makes a good cover song and what doesn't.
Right.
So,
and there's something else that I will point out about that episode that I think is really funny.
What's that?
Because it was so early, I went back and I listened to it on my drive home from my last trip, and I thought it was so funny that we were sitting around talking about how long the previous episode was because it went up to 50 minutes.
I know.
And then that episode went to 50 minutes, and we were like, well, should we do this? No, it's gone way too long already. We're going to test the patience of our listeners. Let's wrap it up right now.
Yeah, now like a short show is now 50 minutes. That's like
Right. I don't think we've hit under an hour for at least several months.
No, I think you're absolutely right on that. It's quite funny. It's quite funny how like an hour show feels short now.
Right.
So let's see. Yeah, we're at half an hour right now. We're at 30 minutes. So or 32.
Oh no, we might make it past 50 minutes.
Yeah.
This will be horrid.
Oh
Our
my
listeners will
goodness.
never forgive us.
How on earth would that be possible? Oh my. Let's see here. So we decided to go through. I have 6 cover songs that I have chosen for today's episode, and I don't feel like we need to dive back into what a cover is. If you want to know what a cover is and our opinion on what makes a good cover, go back and listen to episode number 20, and you can check that out. And if you want to stop this episode now, go listen to that one, and then come back. You're more than welcome to. So I'll give you a chance to pause.
All right, that's all you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now welcome back, and let's dive into to what these albums what these intros are. What the heck?
Covers.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. Covers.
Well, see, I'm looking at my other screen that has like the podcast intro. It's got all kinds of, all my clips on it, and I'm reading it instead of thinking about what it is that I'm going to say. And it's Friday. I've been alone all week because my family's been out of town, and I'm completely messed up as to the normalcy of life right now. So you have to bear with me in all
The
of
worst
this.
thing is when you're typing on your computer and watching TV, and then you realize that you're transcribing the show that you're watching. And you're like, oh, yes. I should probably not send this email to my boss that's talking about how great Dove deodorant is.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness, that is funny. Let me see here. So, do you want to go first, Paul?
Sure. And I probably won't get through all mine, just as a warning, because I have 10.
Oh, holy smokes!
Because I'm stupid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Save it for next time.
Yeah, we'll have some for next time, which is totally cool. I'm going to pull out a weird one just because I think this is so funny that this exists at all. Of course, last time, I believe we at least mentioned covers that DC Talk did, because they did a lot of covers. They were it's funny because they weren't known for doing covers, but about half of their popular songs were covers, which is still kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
But, you think about their relationship with Larry Norman. They covered, Wish You'd All Been Ready. And did they do another Larry Norman song too? I feel like
not that I know of.
Okay, well, that was a very notable cover that people recognized as.
Well, they also used to start their show with REM's "It's the End of the World."
Right, and they did "Help."
Yeah,
by the Beatles,
that one too. That's right.
They did "In the Light" and
by Charlie Peacock, right?
Yeah, by Charlie Peacock, and they did "Lean on Me." I mean, they had all of these different covers that they did, and Jesus is just all right, or still all right, the
Lean on Me, I had somebody try to convince me that the Lean on Me song was an original and that the one that they had heard not by DC Talk was the cover.
No.
And I'm thinking, when that original song came out, DC Talk was very, very, not even formed yet.
Right, yeah.
So I have to explain to them,
people.
You may want to go look at dates on those again, just to be sure.
Here's the question. So we know that DC Talk has covered Larry Norman. Did you know that Larry Norman covered DC Talk?
I did not.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Really?
Or he did.
Yeah.
Take a listen to this. Is that not one of the weirdest, most bizarre things you've ever heard?
Yeah, Larry Norman rapping. That's something that I never thought I would hear in my lifetime. considering
But
the fact that he's now in heaven,
Right.
You know,
we love you, Larry.
Yes.
But yeah, it's so funny because you don't think about dance music or DC Talk, being that much connected to Larry Norman, except for them covering "I Wish We'd All Been Ready," which kind of fits in a weird sort of way.
right?
But it's so funny because they went all stripped down and acoustic, much like I'm sure the original was from Larry Norman to cover that song. And he decided that he was going to go native to cover DC Talk, so he did a techno version, which
Yeah.
is still funny. And it's a full-length one. You can find it on the Mother of All Tributes albums, which is an HM magazine release.
Ah,
Kind of weird, but you can still. I think you can actually grab it on iTunes and whatnot. But it's so funny that it exists. But most of the other ones are like old Christian bands covering other old Christian band stuff.
Huh.
And it was a little bit too odd. Most of the other covers, I was like, if I play this, I mean, it's odd and it's not bad, but it's stuff that I don't know that everyone would know. I mean, bands like Deliverance and Tourniquet and stuff like that, covering other bands like King's X and U2, and I don't know. I mean, the rest of them didn't seem to fit with the spirit of it. But I'd totally forgotten about that particular cover, and I'm just like, I have to share that.
Larry Norman and DC Talk had a very interesting relationship. I don't know. They did some touring together. They had Larry Norman come out and actually play the guitar part for "I Wish We'd All Been Ready" on a few of their dates, and stuff like that. So, I'm not sure how that relationship came about, but they managed to be on. They managed to have a really good relationship with him. So.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Michael was talking about us suggesting a show to us, saying songs you'd like to hear covered by, and then the band of your choice. And I know we finished up episode 20 by us each coming up with a song that we would like to hear a cover of, but not really saying the band that we would like to have cover it.
Right.
And then Tim pops in and he says that one of his favorite questions to ask bands is what... let's see, would they want a cover of one of their songs and who you would want to cover it?
Right.
And
that
so
would be cool.
it was. And so, Tim actually asked this of a few people, and the one that stood out to him was We As Human. And they actually said that they wanted Muse to do a cover of one of their songs.
Nice.
So that would be an interesting cover. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah.
So...
Very
All
good.
right. So I only have 6, but apparently I'm not as prepared as Paul is today.
I'm sorry. Part of it is because I just stumbled across a whole lot of stuff, because when I was looking for one particular song, which I eventually found, I was thinking that iTunes had misplaced it into my compilations or something, because sometimes the search function in iTunes doesn't work as well as it's supposed to.
Right.
So I went combing through all of my compilation CDs that I have imported into iTunes, which of course also made me stumble across a bunch of them that were misplaced. Like almost all my Toby Mac CDs were in compilations because they have guest artists on them too. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make it a compilation.
Yeah.
That means that there's a guest artist. You do not have to make it a compilation. So I'm going through all like completely and totally OCD last night, trying to fix all of these things and find it. And it turned out the song just wasn't imported onto my computer. So I have to go dig through the CDs, found it, then imported it. Now I have it. But yeah, so I stumbled across a whole lot of ones while I was going through that list that I wouldn't have found otherwise. So that's part of the reason why I have so many. So.
Man, that's funny. That is funny. Well, the first song that I'm going to play for you, I was listening to Broken a couple of weeks ago, and I heard a song on there, and I thought, I don't remember putting this song in the system.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and so I'm listening to it, and I'm like, okay, I know this is a cover,
right?
But who is this band? So I'd forgotten about it for a while, and then when I suggested that we should do a cover show, I thought, oh, well, I'll go dig up that cover and see if I can find it. Well, of course, I couldn't remember what song it was, and I couldn't really remember the name of the band.
But
so
it was a cover.
Right. So I'm sitting there going through our mediums list and our cold list, and finally came across it. And then I started doing some research on the band, because I'm like, how did this end up in our system? Out that this band submitted a song to us, and our submission team, for some reason, felt that their other song was too long. It was like 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And they sent an email off saying that we can't handle songs over 4 minutes, which is not true. We can do songs of whatever length. It's just hard to schedule some of those 5 and 6 minute songs into the rotation.
Yeah.
So I found out that they submitted another song. She sent the email back saying that we can't handle songs that are that long. They sent this cover instead. Now, since I went and found out about the band and found that I was the one who put it in there and I just didn't remember it, whatever. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous, isn't it? So they...
But we no longer have to worry about mentioning how old albums are to make Chris feel old. He's doing that all by himself.
Exactly. My brain is going, kiddies. So I did some research on this band, and I honestly, I don't think that they're a Christian band. There's nothing anywhere out there about them being a Christian band. So I'm not sure what the criteria was used by the submission team to decide to approve them. They don't really have a website. They just have a Facebook page and a Twitter page, and there's just not that information about them. I still really like this cover, and that's why I am sharing it with you guys. The band is called Everthrone. And the song is called "Send Me an Angel." Mm-hmm. So that was "Send Me an Angel" by Everthrone. And like I said, it's a good cover.
Yeah, for sure. Now, here's what's funny. I just went, just out of total curiosity, I went to look at their Facebook page for myself, and I love that their quote up at the top says, "If Gandalf were in a power metal band, this would be it." Sure, why not? I like it.
Okay.
Here's
Tom
what
says,
I would say, though. I would say this real quick.
Yeah.
Here is the reason why they should be probably considered that they are a Christian band. They're taking a photo, and they just look way too nice. They don't look nearly grungy and gritty and dirty enough to be playing this kind of music and not be a Christian band. They just look like nice boys with long hair. You know, it totally kills it. So anyway, so what you got?
Tom says, if I found that in my system, I'd probably delete it.
Oh.
I like it. I think it's a good cover. We will probably pull it out of the system just because there's too much unknown about the history of the band, and I've never listened to any of the other music, so I don't know if there's any if there's any info there or whatever that would be contrary to them being on our station. So it's probably best for us just to pull it out.
Yoink.
So there you go.
All right. Well, since I've already alluded to the fact that I went on search, on a quest, moreover, to find a song that I finally found, I'm going to play it for you. You can find it on the Goaty Hook album called "Songs We Didn't Write," which is a cover album, which I at the time I thought was lame. Now I think it's pretty awesome. And you can also find it on the Songs from the Penalty Box compilation, Volume 2.
Okay.
So that's where I have it, because I don't actually have the Songs We Didn't Write album, or at least I don't think I do. I want to get it, but I haven't found it yet. But anyway, so it's the very first track on Songs from the Penalty Box 2, and, well, you'll recognize it very quickly.
With me, yeah, babe. And I could tell it would belong till she was with me, yeah, babe. Singing, I love rock and roll. Put no time to the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. So come and take the time and dance with me.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Now, here's a trivia question for you. Who performed that first?
Well, Joan Jett's the one who made it famous.
Okay, very good. I love that qualification there. That's nice. Because she wasn't the first person to perform it. It was actually an old classic rock band called The Arrows. So, anyway, I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun. So, anywho, I really enjoyed that cover. And it's funny because now I had to rethink how I thought about that. Because I was like, oh, they changed it from, instead of He was standing there by the record machine too. She was standing there to the record machine. No, Joan Jett changed it, and they just changed it back. So I don't know. They didn't really change a whole lot about it. It's one of those covers that definitely stays true to the original and just basically has a little bit dirtier guitars and a little bit updated production and obviously a different vocalist, but still very fun. Love it. So
well, now when you say it stays true to the original, does it stay true to the Joan Jett original or to the original original?
Basically the same.
They both.
There's not much of a difference. I mean,
gotcha.
The one by the Arrows is very obviously older and it has a little bit more of a classic rock feel than it does maybe a slightly more punk feel that the Joan Jett version has.
Okay.
But the vocals and the delivery is pretty close to the same. I mean, it's not a big difference.
Oh my. Awesome. Good deal. Well, it's a good cover, though. I like it. You know, like I said before, I prefer them to either copy or completely redo. Playing that middle road doesn't usually fly very well. It's on the rare occasion that it does.
Yeah.
Well, this song actually stirred up a little bit of controversy for Broken FM when we played it because we actually made someone angry that we played this cover. I guess because some of the lyrical content they felt was not appropriate for a Christian station.
Okay.
So the song is Just What I Needed by the Insiders.
Yeah.
It's not the perfume that you wear. It's not the ribbons in your hair. I don't mind you coming here and wasting all my time. I don't mind you hanging out and talking in your sleep. Doesn't matter.
So, yeah, Just What I Needed by the Insiders. That stirred up a little bit of controversy. We got a letter from somebody who felt that lyrically that song was not appropriate for a Christian rock station to be playing. So we decided to go ahead and pull it. I guess there's some sexual references in there that some people were not pleased with.
Okay. It's funny. I'm looking at the lyrics right now, and I don't know.
Well, I don't mind you hanging out and talking in your sleep.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, and then
You
I
could
guess
take that way.
one of the chorus is I needed someone to bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another supposed sexual reference there.
Oh, okay. Sure. Why not?
So,
Which is, I mean, there's something to be said there. And that's one thing that I find very funny is that I think in general there's a whole lot more scrutiny to people or to Christian bands covering modern secular songs as opposed to covering older ones like that.
Right.
Because more often than not, if you have a fond memory of it, you're willing to give a pass.
Right.
But if it's something current, you can't be covering a Katy Perry song. That's just wrong. You know what she does? She worships the devil. You know, and you know, it's just like I'm pretty sure that in like 30 years, a Christian band will cover a Marilyn Manson song, and everyone will be like, "Oh, I remember that from when I was in junior high. It was so sweet.
Well,
he had all the white makeup and stuff." You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's that kind of stuff that I think people get a little over. I think Christians especially, are more shocked at Katy Perry because she was supposedly brought up in a Christian home.
Her dad was a pastor.
Yeah. So, I mean, and she started in the Christian music industry, and I guess it didn't go very well. Yeah. So she ended up getting out of that and then getting into Satan worship. No. I can't say she worships Satan. I don't know. I don't
think she does either.
No.
I mean, I don't think that she's nearly as close to sticking to the Christian morals that she was raised with, obviously, as she once was. But
right. Well, there was a lot of shock.
At the same time, I think,
there was a lot of shock at her Grammy performance because it looked very, it was very witchcrafty, apparently. You know, she was like burning at a stake with these demon people surrounding her or whatever the case may be. So, you know, there was a lot there for people to have issue with. a lot of questions, and I get that. I'm not saying that she's perfectly okay to listen to. I'm not a big fan of a lot of pop music, so I wouldn't listen to her anyhow. But I don't know, doing a cover of a song, Satellites and Sirens on their album, they did a cover of Fun's "We Are Young."
Right.
And some people were concerned about that, and I guess Satellites and Sirens ended up changing some of the lyrics, and I was playing it for my sister, and she's like, I'm surprised they did this song because apparently it's about spousal abuse or beating up your girlfriend or something like that.
Right.
And so she went through and was telling me some of the actual lyrics to that song. And I mean, I kind of had to step back and go, oh, wow, okay, I didn't realize that. But so is it okay for them to cover it if they cleaned up the lyrics? But isn't that going to make people want to go hear the original and stuff like that? It's kind of I don't know. Covers are kind of that gray area in that regard.
Right. Yeah, it's odd how that works. And it does feel ridiculous, the amount of thought that you have to put into these sorts of things. And here's what I would say. And I may be totally stepping in it to say this out loud, and forgive me if you disagree. Don't yell at me. I don't want to get mean emails about this. But here's my thought, and it's taken me a long time to come to this point. But maybe we need to start thinking slightly less about music in a way that most Christians have.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of times we should view music almost like we would view a painting. Obviously, if it's a painting that gives you unclean thoughts or is pornographic, that's obviously not a good thing for you, more than likely.
Right.
It's not something that's going to help you out. But otherwise, you can have a painting depicting spousal abuse, and most people aren't going to get mad about it. It's an art taking on a topic.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a song about spousal abuse, unless it very blatantly says, hitting your wife is wrong, hitting your husband is wrong, Jesus says, no, hitting your wife is wrong. I mean, we as Christians are like, oh my goodness, they took on that topic. How dare they?
Yeah.
And they didn't mention that Jesus is the answer to this problem.
Right.
To me, I think that there needs to come a point where it's like, yeah, if for you personally, the song takes you to a place that it's not good for you, sure, don't listen to it. And I get that. And I am wholly on board with that. If it takes you to a place where you're not having clean thoughts, you're not having, good thoughts that are within the Christian perspective, great.
Right.
But I don't think that means that there can't be songs that are about topics that you don't necessarily are a fan of and then say that they're wrong. I mean, I think that and that's, I think, something that Christian artists and artists in general have been struggling with for a long time. But it's also how you end up with these songs that are so happy, that are about such dark things that no one knows what they're about.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I think that's the Paul principle, is to, being careful when you're around other people so that you don't create a stumbling block for them. But I think it also goes even back to the principle of plucking out your eye or cutting off your hand. I don't think that that's a literal thing that you need to do.
No.
It's a matter of it's a matter of you cut that portion out of your life.
Right.
So you don't listen to that song if it causes you to stumble.
Right. Absolutely. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. I like I said, it's mainly just to make the point that I think we as Christians, I think because we put so much weight on lyrics for our own artists to make Christian points, I think that we carry that over to mainstream artists especially, and are like, oh, well, you can't cover this topic because you're not saying that Jesus is the answer. It's like, why would they? They're not Christians. I mean, there's not a reason for them to say that. But there is that you need to give them the ability to raise questions at the very least that need answers, and whether that leads them to Christ or not is up to the individual. But you have to have that kind of perspective, I think, to be able to not come off as a nut in some situations, because there's things that need to be brought up, whether they're in the Christian perspective or not, because I'm sorry, most people are not going to come off thinking spousal abuse is a good thing.
Right. Totally. Totally. Tom says the sad truth is most Christian listeners aren't music connoisseurs and have black and white perspectives. And I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. We had a guy in our church who his dad was actually one of the original founders of my church. Like, he was one of the original core people that helped get the church started. And his son, his dad, of course, both parents have since passed away. We were celebrating our 75th, I think, and we asked him to come back and speak. And he said something that I totally agreed with, but it blew my mind to hear it coming from the front of my church.
Right.
And that is, if you don't like rock music and you don't like rap music, that's fine. You're within your rights.
Right.
But don't say that God can't use it to save people, because then you have just said there's something that God can't do.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a great argument.
Yeah.
I've never heard it quite put that way before, but I like it.
I just sat there and my mind went, you know, it was so profound yet so simple, and I'm like, why can't more people express it that way? Honestly. So, I really appreciated his take on that.
Right.
All right, horse beaten. Let's move on.
Okay, sounds good. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, it is. All right. Well, this is one that I mentioned, I think, last time, but I didn't actually play. And this is a song that I remember from high school being kind of cheesy, but still fun. And the irony is it was from a group that I wouldn't recommend. The song itself is mostly clean, I think. But the group I wouldn't recommend. The group was called Big Timers. And one of the members he goes by the name Birdman, and it's actually Lil Wayne's dad.
Oh, okay.
And so this
Don't you mean
like
Lil Wayne?
Yeah, Lil Wayne.
Lil.
Weezy.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's Lil Wayne's dad, and so this song was really big, and it's so funny because it plays on black stereotypes in a way that's kind of funny. But the whole song is about not having a dime to your name, but you look good. I mean, it's the basic idea of it. The song's called Still Fly, and it was covered on the Punk Goes Crunk Volume 1 album by The Devil Wears Prada. And this is one of those ones where if the party starts dying, I'd like to throw this in just because about 5 people will turn around and go, "Oh my goodness, this is awesome!" And everyone else is like, "What is all this racket?" But it's so funny because you get the weirdest looks.
Yeah.
So Still Fly, covered by The Devil Wears Prada, and you'll hear a little bit more of the metal part first, and then it goes into the chorus, which is more singing. So here you go.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. So in
Nice.
gator boots with the pimped out Gucci suit, ain't got no job, but I stay sharp. Can't pay my rent because all my money's spent, but I got a corner take of gas in my new E-Class. But that's okay because I'm still fly. But it's all right because I'm going to ride. Everything's in my mama's name, but I'm hood rich. Da, 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 da.
That's
It's
awesome.
so funny. And I mean, the whole song is so tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
And I will warn you that the original version does have some cursing in it. I'm looking at the original, and I don't think they kept that in that version. But, I mean, of course, you have to wonder how much, to a certain degree, and I'm sure people will disagree with me, but half the stuff that's the metal part of that song you can't understand anyway. So the part
Right.
that's actually rapping is very rapid fire.
Yeah.
But I would assume that they took that out, but I don't know. I can get down to that cover any day just because I remember hearing the original on the radio and be like, yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
Fun stuff.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's see here. So let's keep it heavy.
All right,
Since,
sounds good.
Since you went there, I'll go there as well. This song actually surprised me because I was not prepared for it. I was listening to the new Love and Death album, and I was in my car, wasn't paying attention to song titles or anything like that, and all of a sudden, this song came on, and I just kind of went, "No way."
No way.
So I'll tell you what it is after if you don't figure it out. So here we go. That right there was Love and Death's cover of Devo's song Whip It, and it is a phenomenal cover. I mean, they kept the pacing similar and everything, but they completely went to the opposite end of the musical spectrum for this track, and it is fantastic.
And what I love about it is it just seems like it would be something that you assume that people like Brian Head Welch would know that song, but it doesn't seem like it would be one that would be majorly on the radar of Brian Head Welch.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Tom says, anyone else picture Brian Welch wearing one of those old Devo hats and snapping a whip?
Actually, there are pictures of him wearing one of those hats.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's cool. Very,
It's so
very
funny.
cool.
Oh, breaking news. On their next album, they're going to cover Teardrops on My Guitar by Taylor Swift. Totally kidding. But wouldn't that be funny? I mean, just another song that you're like, oh, I'm sure he's heard it somewhere, but really? He's going to cover it? Okay.
Did you see the video of Taylor Swift's performance at the Grammys? There's a video. It's called, I think, Taylor Swift Gets Assaulted at the Grammys or something, and she's sitting at the piano doing her part, and all of a sudden you see Ryu from Street Fighter drop down, and as she's playing, she kind of like throws her head back, and every time she throws her head back, he kicks just before. So it looks like he's just kicking her in the face.
Poor Taylor Swift. She gets no love.
It is so funny. I mean, it's almost as funny as the music video that
With a goat?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Well, there's one with a goat, and then there's one where the goat's the first one, and then somebody shows one of those automatic paper towel dispenser things making the sound too, and oh my goodness, there's so many of them out there. But the one you've got to look it up. If you haven't seen it yet, go look it up. It's like Taylor Swift assaulted at the Grammys. And you will laugh your head off. It's hysterical. Because at the end, she's still playing, and so it shows Ryu, and he's got his head down, and he makes the quote of, "I was not strong enough this time. I must train more to become better," or whatever the case may be. It's awesome. It's awesome. Go check it out. So yeah, that was "Whip It" by Love and Death. It's a great cover. I would love to see Mark Mothersbaugh, who is the guy who was the lead singer for Devo and did a lot of their writing and stuff. I'd love to see his impression of what that song was, like what he feels about that song.
Yeah, that would be funny for sure. And speaking of odd people along the lines of Taylor Swift, did you catch that bit of news that was floating around that I guess it was in maybe Tulsa that Carrie Underwood came on stage with TFK and performed Let the Sparks Fly?
No.
Yeah, evidently she used that song either as an opener for her shows for a while or just for sound check or something. So she knew the song really well.
Yeah.
And randomly she was like, hey, can I come on stage with you guys? And of course they're like, oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Durr. So apparently you can catch, I think, a video of it up on YouTube, which I have not gotten to watch yet, but she sings along with them on that. I was like, that's pretty cool.
I will have to go take a look at that. I mean, I'm not a country fan, but I did watch the season of American Idol that Carrie Underwood was on. And as soon as she started singing, I knew that she was going to win. I mean, there was no way about it. I am not a country fan by any stretch of the imagination, but she really does have an amazing voice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Well, since we went heavy, I'm going to go the exact opposite direction. This one is one that you can find on Bandcamp for free. It's by Sleep for Sleepers, and it's a cover of Bryan Adams' Heaven. And I think that you guys like this. Check this out.
Baby, you're all that I want when you're lying here in my arms. I'm finding it hard to believe we're in heaven. Love is all that I need, and I found it there in your heart. It isn't too hard to see we're in heaven.
But you can't play that on Broken FM, though.
No.
It does not state, obviously, that they are married yet. They could be. I mean, he could be.
Yeah, very, very possible.
We need to hear the I do's at the beginning of the song, then it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or, they need to state specifically, I was singing this song to my wife.
Yeah.
I
was singing this song to my wife.
That's right. Well, no, just come on with just wanted to let you all know this song that you're about to is dedicated to my wife.
That's right. Which I get, but it's so fun to make fun of. So, I'm just,
Yes.
jumping on that bandwagon there.
Yes.
Anyway, but it's off their album called, I think it's an EP that's just nothing but covers, and it's called Younger Years. So you can catch that on bandcamp.com for free.
Okay, cool. That's good. I like Sleep for Sleepers. They recently came out with a new single, I think, that we're playing right now. And I guess they might have an EP or an album coming out soon. I thought they were done. I was under the impression that they were not going to be around anymore. But, it's funny with bands. You can say that, and then 6 months later, look who's back. Or 10 years, as the case with Five Iron Frenzy and Guardian and that kind of stuff. So.
Right. Or if it's the Rolling Stones, it's come see the final tour ever of the Rolling Stones next year. Come see the final tour ever of the Rolling Stones.
That's like those furniture stores that are forever going out of business.
We have one of those too. It's like closing sale. It's like, no, the sale closes at the end of the day. We're not closing the doors permanently.
Right. Well, or they end up having this. They end up having the sale, and then they do close the doors for 24 hours, and they reopen under a new name.
Right.
But all the furniture's the same.
Right.
Were you a Bon Jovi fan growing up?
Not growing up. I've learned to like him or them, I guess, in my older years. I think there were songs that I probably would have jammed out to had I heard them, but I listened to so much Christian stuff growing up that I didn't really. I had seen Bon Jovi like stickers or something, and maybe a couple of T-shirts, but I couldn't have told you a Bon Jovi song to save my life when I was young.
Okay, all right. Well, apparently Stellar Cart feels differently.
Oh, well, figures.
Let me see. Oh, Tom says maybe more people would join the chat if you announced it was the last chat ever. That's right. Next week will be the final chat. Chat
heard
room.
It here first.
Chat room closing down. This time, it's for real. That was my Don LaFontaine tribute voice, or Hal Douglas, depending on which one you grew up with.
There you go.
Let's see here. So, Stellar Cart decided to do a cover of Bon Jovi's "Livin' on a Prayer." Now, there's a couple covers out there of this song. I think one of them was done by Philmont, and I wasn't a really big fan of the Philmont version.
Oh, yeah?
It just felt like the pacing was off. Philmont's got kind of that punkish sound to it sometimes, and that's how I felt they interpreted that song, which is fine, but it didn't catch me very well. But Stellar Cart seemed to keep it more along the same lines of what the original was, and so I feel like it grabbed me a little bit more. So this is "Living on a Prayer" by Stellar Cart.
She says we gotta hold on to what we've got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Whoa, living on a prayer.
Yeah, Tim called that one of those karaoke classics, and he's absolutely right. That is a karaoke classic. But a good cover of the song, in my opinion.
Yeah, but see, now I feel left out. I had either totally forgotten or never knew that Philmont did a cover of that. Now I'm trying to find it, and I don't think I have it.
I'm almost positive that it was Philmont that did it.
I'll take your word for it. I just didn't know somehow.
Yeah, Michael says that. Tom just posted something in it. Let's see. I think Bon Jovi has one of the best voices in rock and roll, and I agree that Bon Jovi is a great singer. I do not disagree with that at all. And then Tom Labonte says there's a Monte Carlo in my town that has Bon Jovi on both the top of the windshield and the license plate. The windows are too tinted to see the driver, but I always pick mullet ever. I could see that too.
Yeah. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah. Was it? Maybe it was Phil. No, it wasn't. Was it Phil Moore?
Phil Moore might have. That might make a little
try
more
Phil
sense.
Moore instead of Philmont.
Okay, let me see here.
See
I only
if
have
that,
one of their records.
See if that brings it up. Let's see. Michael
And
says he
apparently
heard another cover of that song and it ruined the song.
Oh,
That might be the one I'm talking about, Michael. The Philmont,
yeah,
something along those lines.
They're similar. They're
Yeah,
close.
they're kind of. Let me see if I can bring it up here. iTunes is being real picky with me lately.
Well, that's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, and it just crashed.
Well, if it is Phil Moore or Philmont, it's not on iTunes as far as the iTunes store anyway, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's not.
Right. Well, why don't you go ahead and do your...
Oh, wait. No. You're right. There it is. I found... Yeah, it is. It is Phil Moore.
Okay.
So, and actually, I think I have that. I just don't think I have it imported.
Gotcha.
So, anyway, I'll have to check that out. I have to go import that CD now.
Cool.
All right. Fun stuff. Okay, so let's see here. Should I go stuff that's a departure next, or should I go very true to original stuff?
I'll leave that up to you, man. It's your half of the show.
Well, let's do this one. This is one that's been covered by several bands, The Showdown being one of them. But this one still holds a very big place in my heart. And plus, you got to hand it to an all-girl hard rock band to be able to pull this off very well. And the music video features one of the original band members of the original song, which is also kind of cool. Of course, I'm talking about 80s and 90s Wonder Girls, Rachel, and their cover of Kansas's Carry On My Wayward Son, or just Carry On Wayward Son, as it would be. Here we go.
Set a course for winds of fortune, but I hear him say, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more now.
There you go. So Rachel
Nice.
covering Carry On Wayward Son. And you can find that on, let me see, I have it written down here, on their Way to My Heart album, which is actually kind of hard to find.
Okay.
I don't think they ever really reissued that. You can probably grab it on iTunes or something, but if you want it on CD, it's kind of difficult.
Nice.
But anyway, good stuff.
Nice.
I love that. So yeah, Carrie Livgren just because they set half the music video up, the performance part up, like Rachel's performing on stage, and then they look down and Carrie Livgren's standing in the crowd. They're like, come on up, we got a guitar for you. And he's like, okay. So he comes up and then he plays the guitar part and the guitar solo, and you're just like, that is so awesome.
Nice. All right, watch this tie-in. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, so that song was done by Kansas.
Right.
John Elefante was the lead singer of Kansas for a while.
Right.
He is not only friends with, but he and his brother Dino actually produced quite a few of the Petra albums out there.
Oh, this is true.
And we are now going to play a Petra cover by the band Alacrity.
Oh, look at you go.
That's kind of like playing the Kevin Bacon game.
It is. It very much is.
So this band, Alacrity, again, this is one of those bands that I have no idea how I ended up with this music. And I didn't even realize that I had this cover until I was searching through my iTunes library trying to find this stuff.
Isn't that always the way?
And it just, I saw Beyond Belief and Alacrity, and I thought, no. And then I listened to it, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not a very big departure, which I'm fine with. But Petra's Beyond Belief was the album title, and it was a track title.
Right.
And Beyond Belief has to be one of my favorite Petra albums out there. Just a lot of great songs on that album. And I actually they came through my hometown on the Beyond Belief tour. So I got to see them without having to drive 2 hours to go check them out. And so I was thrilled about that. And so here it is, Beyond Belief by the band Alacrity.
There's a higher place to go beyond belief. When we reach the next plateau, beyond belief.
So there you have it. Alacrity with Beyond Belief. They kept it similar, but they kind of punked it out a little bit, which I don't have a problem with at all.
See, I'm going to go a little bit to task on this one.
Okay.
I don't mind it, but to me, I get the verses and how they work being sped up a little bit, but to me, the chorus suffers a little bit from it being sped up because, having to do the da-da, beyond belief. It seems like it's just a little, it feels like they had to rush that part just a little bit because of the tempo change, but
gotcha.
It's still not bad, but that part just bothers me a little bit. Not a lot, just a little.
Well, and that's fine. That's one thing I love about this show is neither one of us are afraid to go, I didn't like it.
Right. And I don't hate it. I'm just saying it's not
just
one
not
that
your
I wouldn't have it come up in my iTunes list all the time. But, time to time, good.
Yes. All right, I've got one more after this, Paul. So let's have you choose one more, and then we'll close it out because we're definitely running on the long side of things here.
Oh man, so now I have to make some decisions.
Yeah, and I have to do that because I still have some packing I need to do. I have an overnighter that I have to go to tonight, and I have to be out of the house by like noon in order to get there on time. So.
Oh.
And I still have to edit this all together and get it uploaded and upload the video and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I'm going to do this one, though, because it's one of my favorites. And at the time, I did not know it was a cover. And then I later found out it was a cover, which I should have known because songs that stand out on an album in a really huge way. And I'm like, this doesn't sound quite like their other stuff. Maybe it's a cover. Well, this turns out it was. Off of the most popular album by Stavesacre called Speakeasy, they did a cover of a tune by The Cure.
Okay.
And it's called Fascination Street. And I love the bass line to the song in general. And Mark Solomon's voice on this just really works. And this is one of my favorite covers just because it feels like it hits on all cylinders. It doesn't change a lot, but because Mark Solomon's voice is so much different and because it's more of a rock band rather than a new wave band, it gives it a different flavor, and I just love it. So here we go. Fascination Street covered by Stavesacre. Tasty goodness.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Nothing else
I'm
to
gonna
say?
have that bass line stuck in my head all day. Good stuff.
That's awesome. Good deal. Well, we are going to do this is a cover of a kid's song.
Oh, nice. Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Yeah.
I'm positive. You and I are having less and less of a need for one of these as time goes on.
Yeah. Let's see here. So Audio Adrenaline. I've been a fan of Audio Adrenaline since their first album. And I loved how wacky and crazy they were in their first few albums, and I love the matured sound that they came up with by the time they were getting ready to call it quits. And of course, now they're back, but they're not completely back because not having Mark as their lead singer, it's a completely different feel now. And I mean, the only original member currently is their bassist,
right?
Will. And he, while he does a great job of holding things together, it's just, the Newsboys are still the Newsboys because the only guy who's really changed is their lead singer. The rest of the band has still been there for quite a while. And Audio Adrenaline is Audio Adrenaline, really in name only, with Will McGinnis as bassist. So that's just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of odd.
It is.
I like the new Audio A. I'm hoping that they get a little heavier as they grow. I think Kevin Max has the ability to take them there. I just think they need to get together and get that cohesiveness going that they've been lacking for a while. But this is back when they were touring a while ago. Mark Stewart as the lead singer when his voice was still there. And just a little bit of, we should say, and now it's time for Silly Songs with Larry, the part of the show where Larry comes out and sings a silly song.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where
heard his cry, Paul Grape enters the scene. Shocked and slightly embarrassed at the sight of Larry in a towel, Paul regains his composure and reports.
I think I saw your hairbrush back there.
So the Hairbrush song, Audio Adrenaline, it's off of one of their live albums, as you can tell by the screaming crowd in the background. That's about the only version that I think exists of that song is off of that live album. So it's a lot of fun. You can't hardly understand because with the crowd yelling in the background, the mix isn't all that great. So it's really hard to grab what it is that they're saying, but it's very good.
Yeah, I knew a lot of people who bought the live bootleg just because of the Hairbrush cover. I'm not going to lie.
And it's not even a great cover, or a great mix, I should say.
It really isn't. And here's my thing. I would have loved for more bands to have covered VeggieTales songs. I understand why they didn't, because I'm sure in some people's minds, especially the ones who are old enough to be in bands, if they had not actually ever sat down to watch VeggieTales, I'm sure to a lot of people, VeggieTales is the Christian version of Barney.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not one of those things that's cool to everybody, but the Hairbrush song was never one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, for the longest time, I just thought it was the most annoying thing ever because, well, at the time I was dating a girl who was obsessed with the Hairbrush song.
Oh, wow.
And she loved the cover too. And I'm just going, oh my God, really? I was like, there's so many other songs that, while still silly and stupid, are more fun to me. But, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen them do something different than that. But it's not a bad cover. But between the fact that it's live and the fact that I never was just a huge fan of that tune to begin with,
right?
I've just never been all that on board with it. But it's still fun, and it's amusing that they did that that early in their career.
I agree. Oh, man. Good stuff. Good times. Absolutely. We hope you guys have enjoyed the covers episode. If you have suggestions that you would like us to toss in a future episode, you can let us know. rockinahardplacepodcast@gmail.com or facebook.com/rockinahardplacepodcast. You can also hit us up on the website and leave a comment. rockinahardplacepodcast.com.
I think your tongue swelled to twice its normal size right there.
I would like to welcome you to this episode of the Rockin' the Hard Place podcast. I'm so happy.
That was my droopy dog impression.
Going up there.
That's right. I'm so happy. We used to call my older brother Droopy. That was his nickname.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have a good day, sir.
He didn't appreciate it very much.
I can imagine not. Droopy is not one of those top 10 characters that kids just want to be like,
Yeah.
Not usually the way it works.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Kirk is telling me something here. Let me see here. It's an album of rock bands covering VeggieTales.
Oh, yeah.
Tunes, and it has one of the heaviest Skillet songs ever. So did I miss a comment up here about what it is? Yeah, I only got...
It's called Veggie Rocks, I think.
Oh, is it Veggie Rocks? Okay, because all I get is his comment saying it's an album of rock tunes. I didn't see any other comment about it. So.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Kirk. Appreciate that. We'll take a look at that. And let's see. Well, I guess it's time to move into this next segment here. So.
The Rock in a Hard Place podcast presents
The one and the only.
All right, boys and girls, get ready for
The Stew.
Well, this stew this week has my wife's stamp of approval as saying that I'm getting slightly better at doing themes. I played it for her. No, I'll tell you that. I did not play it for her because the movie nor the songs, either one would register with my wife. But I explained it to her, and she goes, "Oh, you're getting better." I was like, okay.
All
thanks.
right.
Like, okay. So for those of you who are maybe hearing the stew segment for the first time, there's going to be 3 song clips, all from different songs, and there will be 2 movie clips, both from the same movie. These are all tunes and a movie that I think there's a high probability that Chris will have either heard or seen before, and they are all connected in some way. This is better than the Back to the Future one where you had to know a remix name. You do not have to know that or album titles or anything like that, but they all do kind of work together. And I hope that Chris does well on this. I have a high hopes for this one. I think it's pretty good.
Okay, well, I guess without further ado, let's check out The Stew.
Let's do what you gotta do. There are no handshakes, only handguns, only earthquakes.
You're so drunk you can't hit nothing. You're probably seeing double.
I have 2 guns, 1 for each of you.
Wretched slugs. Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry, huckleberry.
I may have been too nice with the movie, but I figured any of the other quotes I would choose would just seem too just completely devoid of the plot of the movie to really be that good. So.
Right. No, I mean, I've seen that movie about 1,000 times, so just about any clip I think you could have pulled would have been giving it away. So I don't think you could have done anything different in there. Let me see. Tim says Paul's laugh has my wife's seal of approval.
Yay!
That's kind of an odd comment.
I've gotten that before. Somebody randomly commented on my Facebook or something who had heard an interview or something that I had done on the show and was like, dude, your laugh is so cool. I'm just like, okay.
Well, I know Eli, who he's in the band Mirrors now, but he used to be a DJ with Broken. They were listening to an interview I was doing with you, I think, together when you just recently had come onto the station. And one of their comments was, dude, you have to tell Paul his laugh is legit.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
So, man, that's funny. Well,
he's still officially the only person to ever put it that way. So,
is that legit?
Legit. Got a legit laugh.
So we know the movie Tombstone.
Yeah.
Okay. The second track is POD. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But the first two, or the first track and the third track, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
I couldn't swear that the first track would be in your playlist, although I would assume it would have a very good chance because it was a single from this band, and I know you have other singles from this band in your playlist, but this was a very early hit for these guys, at least in the Christian market.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, do you need another listen to it, or do you want to just give up as it is now?
Do you want to try again, or do you just want to call it quits?
I don't care. I mean, it's up to you.
Let me see here. Let me play the long version of song 1 and see if that helps.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do what you gotta do. There are no handshakes, only handguns, only earthquakes, buckets for bullet wire. There are no churches, only prisons, only senators.
Yeah, see, the voice sounds familiar.
And he said the name of the title in the longer clip.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, do you want me to tell you what that one is, or do you want to
go ahead and tell me what song 1 is?
Song 1 is House of Heroes, Buckets for Bullet Wounds.
Okay, so I knew it sounded familiar. So House of Heroes, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, now let's take a listen to song 3. So that's the Classic Crime.
Mm-hmm.
Classic Crime.
And they said the name of the song in that one too.
Yeah, is it Best Shot or something like that?
Cheap Shot.
Cheap Shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the middle one you know is POD, but do you know the title of that one?
No. It's all right.
Close. You're right, button up against the song title.
But it's all right?
No, it's not in there. It's just they say that right before they say the name of the song.
Gotcha. Okay. No, so apparently I don't know the name of the song.
Aw. There was a movie that used it very heavily recently with Kevin James.
Oh, I probably didn't see that.
Yeah.
No, what was it in Paul Blart Mall Cop?
No. Actually, they used a line from the song as the title for the movie. And it's a good movie for what it's worth. It's a very fun movie, which much better than Mall Cop, which I thought was rather lacking. But
yeah.
Which I think is a lot of the reason why a lot of people didn't bother with this one. But I thought it was really good. A friend of ours recommended the movie, and I was like, And then my wife wanted to watch it, which is weird because it's kind of a sports movie.
Yeah.
And she loved it. And she's not a sports movie kind of person typically.
How funny.
Yeah. So the song is Boom.
Oh, okay.
And the movie was Here Comes the Boom.
Here Comes the Boom. Gotcha. Okay. So House of Heroes. And what was the title of that one again?
Buckets for Bullet Wounds.
Okay. So the theme is obviously like guns or bullets or
gunfights.
Yeah, that kind of exactly that kind of thing. So, wow, it actually all meshed together.
I know.
How cool is that?
Yeah. I'm getting slightly better.
I need to go watch Tombstone again. It's been like 6 months since the last time I've seen it. It's such a good movie.
It's been years for me, but it is a good movie. It's one of those ones that I resisted seeing for so long because I'm like, I don't know if I want to see a new Western. You know, it's just something about it. You just don't want to think it's going to be legit. And then you watch it and you're like, oh my goodness, that was so awesome.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was a great film. My older brother hates Westerns, and I keep trying to get him to see this movie because I think if he watched it, he would love it.
Right.
But no, he refuses. No, I don't like Westerns. I'm not going to give it a shot because I don't like Westerns. Maybe I should say that.
It's such a guy film.
I'm not going to give it a shot because I don't like Westerns.
Yeah. It's such a guy film, though. I love it.
Oh, totally.
You know, I don't know. I just have to giggle every time he does the whole, I'm your Huckleberry.
That's right. That's right. Wyatt, it appears my hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Right. One of the other clips I almost used was, hey, Doc, how you doing? I'm dying. How about you?
Yeah. Towards the end of I think it's towards the end of the movie, huh?
Yeah.
When he looks at his toes and he goes, oh, that's funny.
Yeah. That's one of the better acting jobs he did because it's so easy to forget that's him.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. I also love it when Billy Bob Thornton is standing there with the shotgun after the shotgun is all done, and Wyatt and Doc Holliday are talking, and all of a sudden he looks over and he goes, "Oh, I forgot you were there. You may go now." Why, Johnny Tyler, the Madcap. Oh, so many great one-liners in that film.
Yeah, there are.
Or when he's drunk playing poker and he just keeps crushing Ike Clanton.
Yeah.
And Doc goes, I've got an idea. Let's have a spelling contest.
You have to wonder how much of that was just totally ad-lib.
Oh, man, it's so great. I've got 2 guns, one for each of you.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of the Tombstone lines. Great movie. If you have not seen it yet, go see it. It's fantastically acted. It is the quintessential Western. How accurate it is to the telling of what happened in Tombstone, I don't care.
Right.
Just because it's such a fun movie to watch. So
go
watch
Tombstone. But Proviso, you guys are all adults, I hope. But it is rated R. So
it is, and most of that's language and some violence. Right. I mean, it's the gunfight at the OK Corral.
Right. What do you expect?
Yeah. So
they need to hug it out.
Oh, Tom just said apparently Slayer is protesting Fred Phelps' funeral.
Oh wow, that's not good.
Alrighty then. So, what was your find on Noise Trade this week, there, Paul?
I have a couple of them that are very quick that I'm going to share with you. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about either one of them. One of them is a remix of a single that is currently in the top 20 by the I think it's North Carolina. I apologize if I'm wrong. Band I Anthem. And I didn't see much advertising for this at all, but they put up a remix of their single Enemy that's actually pretty good.
Okay.
And you can grab it on Noise Trade. So here's a little clip.
Cool.
So there you go. I Anthem, the remix of Enemy. You can grab it on noisetrade.com, and
Very
it's
cool.
pretty decent.
It is.
They shifted up a little bit more than that in other places in the song. One of the other ones is a band that we have talked, at least mentioned in the past, but this contains their current single as well. This is from the band Mike Maines and the Branches, and you can grab not only their first album called Home, at least I think it's their first album, but you can also grab an EP that contains their new single and their single previous to that. So it's got the songs In the Night, Noises, and their current single called Everything's Gonna Be Alright. And I'll play a quick clip of that one for you.
I know it's strange and hard to grasp the fact that we can understand the meaning of this life. Sometimes it's hard to find, but if we learn to look between the lines, I think that if we open our eyes, we're gonna see the sunrise.
So there you go, Mike Maines and the Branches from the Everything EP, which you can grab off of noisetrade.com for free. And you can also, of course, give them a tip if you want to, which is always recommended. But let's face it, it's free. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Cool. Now, Tyler Edwards, who happens to be the lead singer for the band I Anthem, he and I are friends on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
And we were chatting the other day about something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I happened to mention the podcast, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go check it out. So he went and listened to our last episode, and he was like, dude, I totally dig what you guys are doing.
Nice.
So he has hopefully become a fan and subscribed and all of that kind of stuff. He's actually probably going to be in town in May. I think he said they're flying in to go to a Giants game, and then they're going to be driving up to Seattle. So we're going to try and schedule a time with him and work on getting him into the studio.
Nice. And and also he contacted me recently too. And part of that reason was because they have a new video for a old single, which is kind of funny, but they really felt like it was most conducive to the video. So if you want to check out I Anthem's music video for Lonely Soul, you can check that out, and it's out now.
Yeah, I think we actually linked that in the Broken FM, the Broken FM Facebook page. I think we put a link up for that.
Nice.
So it's very, very cool. Very cool. Let me see here. Tom just picked up the Branches full-length album. She's pretty tasty.
Nice.
We tried to get Mike Maines about a month ago. We had him all scheduled, and then he, A, never called, and B, never sent us the album. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, and Tim has been totally unsuccessful trying to get him back on. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. Just one of those things.
Who knows?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Well, I think that is going to do it for us for today. Episode 61 is about to wrap up. Crazy to think that we've been doing this for 61 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not complaining, that's for sure. So good stuff. I've mentioned it before, and I will mention it again. There are loads of ways to get a hold of us. You can email us, rockinahardplacepodcast@gmail.com. You can check out the website, rockinahardplacepodcast.com. The video today, or the video from today, will be up on YouTube, so you can check us out. Just if you search out Rockin' a Hard Place Podcast on YouTube, it'll pop up. It'll show the window of Paul and I talking back and forth, have all the sounds and everything like that in there. It will not show the chat room, just so you know. It won't show the chat room, so the only way to get in on the chat room is to actually be here for the live broadcast. So there you have it. Facebook.com/rockinahardplacepodcast. I think that's all the ways to get a hold of us. We don't have a Twitter yet. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do. Maybe somebody can come up with a good idea for the maybe somebody can come up with an idea for the Twitter handle that we should use, because Rockin' a Hard Place is taken, and we can't really shorten it down too much to make sense. So I don't know. Maybe somebody can help us figure out a Twitter handle that we can use that's not already taken, that we could then have a Twitter account.
Yeah. Maybe it could be RIA. I don't know. Yeah, RIA, hard place. I don't know. That still seems like a lot.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be something that's easy to remember
Right.
and to tell people about, but at the same time, you know, isn't already taken and has to do with who we actually are.
Ketchup face at Twitter.
Yeah, ketchup face, Twitter, something. I don't know. Face for radio. There we go. How about that? Face for radio. We could use that.
There you go.
Well, all right, guys. I guess that there is just one thing left to say, and that is I am Chris Cooner.
And I'm Paul Gibson, and we love scientists because they do our intro music, and we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
I stepped all over your closing line there. Sorry.
That's quite all right. I just figured, you know, it's going to happen. All right, go ahead and hit stop there, Paul.
All right, done.